Last pair, Andy Roberts and Wayne Daniel, stayed together to the end when the total finished up at that massive 437 for 9, dominated by those two openers, Fredericks and Greenwich, 192 their opening partnership in only 155 minutes, and you don't see runs scoring at that rate too often in Test cricket these days. Vivian Richards, a superb innings that, really did play some glorious strokes right back to that form of the Trent Bridge Test when he made his 232. Lawrence Rowe, a welcome return to the West Indies side, only came back because of the injury to Khalid Charan, but he played very well indeed. Clive Lloyd, the man who they really needed to get into it late in the afternoon, he was out to a very good catch by David Steele off the persevering Alan Ward. Ward, a couple of wickets there, just reward for coming back to the Test side, and he fought very hard indeed. Collis King, a first bowler, and Derek Murray played some pleasant strokes in his 33. Well, if the story of the day was a dominant one as far as the batsmen were concerned in the early part of the day, it certainly didn't finish up quite like that, because in the last session of play, the England bowlers fought back, I thought, magnificently to take 7 for 107. It's not easy to come up against a batting side of this strength and suddenly to find yourself in an awful position in mid-afternoon and then stay intact tonight, and the knowledge that they really did work hard and fight like fury in that last 2 hours. But what of the match now? Spectators who are in the ground today and television viewers certainly had their money's worth today. One of the most entertaining days cricket I've seen in years. Dominated by the West Indian batsmen, the fight back by the England bowlers. But what can England do now tomorrow against the West Indies pace attack? 4 men in that pace attack now. The 3, Roberts, Holding and Daniel from the Old Trafford Test, reinforced by Van Bernholder, not a spinner in the side. And the pitch, although playing perfectly, I think I detected a little bit of movement off the seam there this afternoon, and a little bit of extra bounce for John Snow when he got stuck into it late in the day. It's a great test for the England batsmen. We'll see tomorrow how well they come out of it, and no doubt the England selectors will be watching just as anxiously as everyone else back in their living rooms. The West Indies began the second day of the 4th Test at Headingley at 437 for 9, a massive total, and England really did need to take that final wicket very quickly this morning. The pitch was still good, conditions good, perhaps a little bit of a cloud cover, which may have troubled the England batsmen later on. But we join play now in the 3rd over of the morning. It's Bob Willis bowling to Andy Roberts.
Again, a nice full pitch. Turned away for 4 runs, square on the onside. So the West Indies, last pair, have added 9 runs this morning in 10 minutes. Roberts has moved on to 16. His partner Daniel's on 3. It's the first chance now for John Snow with a new ball. Oh, fine throw. Peter Willey again, the fielder at cover point. Always worth a throw at the bowler's end there. Frank Hayes fortunately was backing up. And he's dropped it. Oh, would you believe it? That's the ending that everybody on this ground wanted. And Alan Knott drops the catch off John Snow. There's the deflection. Alan Knott moving across to pouch what really must have been one of the easiest catches that have been offered to him in his career. Snow again to Roberts. And that's it. So Roberts getting his middle stump flattened there by John Snow, and John Snow ending a very good match, going on to his 200th wicket in Test cricket. Truman 307, Statham 252, Alec Bedser 236 and Underwood 216, the men ahead of him. So that completes the West Indies innings, all out for 450. A fine way to see the innings ended, the middle stump going back flat there. Roberts giving himself some room.
There's not much difference there between that 450 and the 437 for 9 with which the West Indies started. In fact, I think probably the England batsmen may well have been happy to have the West Indies occupying the crease so that any overnight surface moisture could have dried out of the pitch. England's first object, as they faced the first ball of their innings, was certainly to reach 251. That was the mark where they would have saved the follow-on.
I've in fact Got a deep long leg here, that makes quite a change. So Roberts coming into Wool. That was a hard chance. Richards very close there. It was off the meat of the bat. I think Woolmer thought he might have been away with the boundary there. But one of those that very often sticks. Well, coming back, pushed away quite firmly by Woolmer, and in and out of Richards' right hand. So Holding's first ball to steal. Short, got over the top of it this time, whipped it away, a little whippy shot. Not a genuine hook, but it gets England away and brings David Steele 2 runs. There's the figure of Andy Roberts. In actual fact, he's very fine there at Longley.
Bowled. And I think that in due course it will serve the West Indians well, the pace bowlers, if they do in fact keep the ball reasonably well up to the bat, because yesterday the English bowlers, the moment they tried to whack it into the pitch, really came off very slowly, like off a mattress. But when they bowled a length and kept it up there, then it moved about and the odd one lifted. There was just a little extra movement.
Bowled him. It's a good delivery. That in slanting Yorker. And that was right through David Steele's defence. So the first break for the West Indies with only 4 on the board. And that was a good ball. Might just have come off the inside edge. But it was certainly thrown for pace and moved. 4 for 1 wicket. Steele bowled Holding, and Woolmer is still not off the mark. It's a quick delivery. It was Andy Roberts who picked up Hayes' first ball in the first innings of the Old Trafford Test. Ball that lifted sharply from around off stump. It's a funny sort of bouncer. Looked as though it was also a big leg cutter, as it came back at Hayes, and Derek Murray had to come back from outside leg stump. Took the ball, in fact, slightly on the offside. Well bowled. That's the perfect ball to follow the bouncer. One that leaves the bat. Richards, the fieldsman. 2 to Woolmer, takes him on to 3. It's a neat stroke, nicely timed. Got the full meat of the bat behind that, and there's no chance of cutting that off. Fairly races down to this end of the ground. That's the football stand end, and it's the first boundary of the England innings. Bob Woolmer. I've seen some beamers over the years, but I've never seen one quite like that. Quite accidental, just slipped out of his hand. Just like squeezing a lemon between your fingers.
And Frank Hayes yet to get into his stride at the far end, facing Wayne Daniel. That's a good shot. Short, swung on it nicely, and collects 4 just in front of the Players' Pavilion. So something at last for the England supporters to cheer about. That's it. Frank Hayes on his way without looking at the umpire. Very hard Nick going through to wicketkeeper Murray, and Frank Hayes just that little bit late. The extra pace getting through. A second wicket to the West Indies. Frank Hayes the man to go. And that's the way it happened. So a second blow struck by West Indies here this morning, capturing the wicket of Frank Hayes. Disappointment for him, another failure to the Lancashire player. He's out for 7. And England once again struggling here on 24 for 2. Testing time here for Chris Balderston, getting a fine hand from the Yorkshire folk here, recognising one of their own coming out to play in his first Test match. So Daniel to Balderston. So Balderston again to try and score his first run in Test cricket. Daniel the bowler. Nicely away, full pitch, with confidence into it. Pushed it away, not with a great deal of power, but sufficient to bring him 2 runs. Well, that's always a great moment. And the man yet to concede a run is Van Bernhola. The overthrow there, and to give Bob Woolmer 2 runs. He's found the gap this time. That'll race away for 4. There's no third man. Lawrence Rowe chasing it, but no chance of stopping it. And that's a chance, and it's taken. Collis King throwing it high, and Woolmer, after making that boundary, is the 3rd Englishman to go. As the outside edge. And the ball going straight to Greenwich at second slip. He tosses it high. Collis King walks round to take the catch afterwards. And in at number 5 also for his first Test match is Peter Willey of Northampton. So the 2 Test debutants out there together, Willey and Balderston. What can they do to bring about an English recovery here? Peter Willey by nature is a good, aggressive stroke player. Whether coming in at 33 for 3, one has got the confidence to start playing shots from the word go. Difficult position for him. Well, he's got it through, and he could get 4. Yes, that'll race away. So he didn't mind how he got the 4. It wasn't a chance. It was played down firmly, once again through the corner slips, and Peter Willey gets off the mark with a boundary. Nicely found the open space. Willey quickly onto the front foot, just pushed away, hit with no great power. He's anxious to get 3, and he's coming back for the 3rd. That's another good firm on drive by Balderston. Vivian Richards chasing, but he can give it up. It will run down to this boundary for 4 more.
Fine stroke there from Peter Willey, whipping it away for 4 through mid-wicket. Van Bernhola is of less pace than Roberts, Holding and Daniel, but that was a fine shot. He waited on it and whipped his wrists across it. And another fine shot. That's going to race away down the hill as well. There's no chance of cutting anything off that's going down that hill. And 2 splendid boundaries to Peter Willey, appreciated by this crowd who haven't had a great deal to cheer about this morning. safe and 4 runs. Viv Richards, the fieldsman. That's good running from Chris Balderstone. Peter Willey. That was a great attempt. My word, that would have been a fantastic catch because he had his feet off the ground. He was horizontal when he got his left hand to it. That was a great attempt by a very fine gully fieldsman. Lawrence Rowe is the man. And that must be out. Yes, beaten on the backstroke. And Andy Roberts has broken through for his first wicket. He's deserved it too, because I think he's been the best of the West Indian bowlers, even though he was wicketless before that delivery. So it's Peter Willey, LBW to Roberts, and he made 36. A very good effort in his first Test match innings, coming up against bowlers of extra pace. He handled it well and showed good temperament and provided a lot of enjoyment here for the patriotic spectators who didn't have very much to cheer about earlier in the innings. There's a quick delivery. It's got Greig off the mark with 2 runs.
That's a good shot, half volley, put away nicely by Balderstone. That'll race away in front of the players' pavilion over the practice wickets there for 4. So the first real shot of authority from Chris Balderstone since lunch. Taking full advantage here of this half volley from Holder. Haven't been too many of them. Hurrying through for the single, Balderstone have to move, but makes it. And the single from Greig at long last brings the 3 figures up for England. 100 for 4. This run's coming in the 38th over. Holder now to Greig. And that's hit nicely off the back foot. Subfielder there, Bernard Julian chasing. Hoping for a little back heel. Not quite sure whether he's saved it or not. So the batsman went through for 3.
Well, I would say that's a chance to Lawrence Rowe. He looked to me as though he was going sideways and a bit backwards instead of sideways and forward. And I think he got both hands to it. Not a particularly good stroke. Both hands about 3 inches above the ground.
Well, here comes Collis King with the very first ball to Tony Greig live after tea, and the England captain finds the boundary. 4 runs. Takes him up to 36. And Tony Greig beginning to show the sort of form that we've been looking for all season.
So there's overthrows there, it should be 5. And a constant signal in the boundary. So a chance for Wayne Daniel to come down the slope here at Headingley from the Kirkstall Lane end. And gloriously driven through the offside. Not a particularly quick delivery that. It was a little bit of a loosener, wasn't quite a half volley in fact. But there was a big wide open space there which Greig found very confidently indeed. Hitting it on the up, in the air, but perfectly safe. There's no mid-off there. Daniel to come in and bowl to Balderstone. That's a good shot. Half volley, it was a no ball too. Clipped off his legs. Julian giving chase. Slowing down, might just stop it. A little back heel to Andy Roberts to complete the fielding. Isn't the same fluency, of course, about his approach to the wicket as one sees with Holding and with Roberts. He's a big, powerful man. This is where he starts to strain a little bit. And that's a fine shot. Lloyd giving chase. If anybody can catch it, he will. No, it's beaten them both. So the 4 that Tony Greig wanted, the hat already off, claiming fine ovation from this crowd here at Headingley, going through to his first 50 in this Test series. Couldn't really have come at a better time for him. Came in when England was struggling at 8 over 4, now shared a 69 partnership with Balderston, and he's made 50. No ball that he's turned away on the leg side. 2 runs here to Chris Balderston. Chase for Van Bernholder, came down on that late, put it away off the back foot nicely, and once again the ball is the winner. So Chris Balderston moving on to 30.
And Roberts again to come around the wicket to Balderston. Good looking shot for 2 runs. Lawrence Rowe, the fieldsman, he's put down 2 chances in this innings so far. And that is out, and that's clever bowling from Andy Roberts. He thoroughly deserved that wicket. He's changed his line of attack by coming around the wicket, having had Balderston get used to him for quite some time. Coming over the wicket, changed his line, and cleverly picked up the breakthrough wicket. 169 for 5 now. And a good effort from Chris Balderston. He was very slow making that 35, but he stayed in there in the middle of the order, held it together, and then he allowed Tony Greig to take control when the England captain came in. So a good effort from both these new caps, Willey, who made 36, and Balderston 35. There's how it happened. Just the faintest of edges and very, very low down. Balderston waited to see if, in fact, it had carried to Derek Murray. Previous record was to carry 14 pints without dropping any of them on the way around. That fella's just broken it. Well, that'll race away, probably for 3, I should think. It won't quite reach the boundary, but it goes very fast down that hill. Lawrence Rowe. And that'll be 4. Just a little defensive push, but that really was running very fast away again from Lawrence Rowe. And another very good looking stroke, a better one that time, even though Bernard Julian will just pick it up inside the boundary. And 3 more to Greig. So having been tied down for 35 minutes, he's suddenly broken out with a 4 and a 3. Runs on to 60. That's a good shot. It's 4 runs. There's a lot of pleasure for people here cheering for England. It's a good shot. It'll flick off the pads, and it's 4 more. Andy Roberts, the man down at long leg. So 18 from this over from Wayne Daniel. Shared out between the two batsmen, and the crowd loving every moment of it. It's fine straight. Three runs. Good shot. 4 runs. .200 comes up, and the crowd loves every moment of it. Quite a transformation in stroke play here. Chris Balderstone, as one might imagine, his first test was having problems getting the bowlers away. Alan Knott has come in to join Tony Greig, and suddenly they've put on 32. Only been together for 20 minutes. And a misfield. 2 more runs.
Three slips in a gully for Andy Roberts. That was probably squeezed onto the ground, I think, by Tony Greig. Well pitched up. And pitching there between keeper and first slip. That's a good shot. No question at all about that. Right off the meat of the bat. So another fine straight drive from Tony Greig. Really back in form here now, moving on to 70. Daniel to Greig. That's a good shot, full toss, but nicely tucked away. Tony Greig moving on to 84. And one is aware he hasn't had a happy test series to date. In fact, runs have been hard to come by in first-class cricket this season. His 84 is his best score up to date this year in any first-class match. Oh, glorious shot. The half volley. Successive boundaries there now taking Tony Greig, really the master of the situation at the moment. So Daniel to Knott. Firmly behind it, wants a single. He really shouldn't be so foolish as to risk a run out on the last ball of the day. Tony Greig, quite rightly, sending him back. And Tony Greig, the man who's pulled England round here this afternoon.
Tony, a magnificent innings for England. You must be delighted to come back into form like that.
Well, it's, I hope it's only the start, Peter. Yeah, we all, as cricketers, have our bad times, and it's nice to come out of them. I'm not playing as well as I can, I don't think, but it all takes time. We've got to be patient.
Did you start this innings any way differently, mentally, to the other innings you've played against the West Indies this season?
I think you know and I know, when you've played cricket for as long as we have, you know what you've got to do. It's just a question of doing it, and sometimes it's not very easy. Sometimes it's a little easier than other times, That's the way it goes.
Tony, we won't keep you out here long, but a quick comment about Peter Willey and Chris Balderstone's innings, first innings for England.
I thought they both played tremendously well. First time out up against a good attack on a cloudy day at Leeds. Got to be a good performance from both of them. I'm very happy.
And a good performance by yourself in England today.
Well, we've still got a long way to go. We've still got to get out of a lot of trouble, so...
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Well, no wonder Tony Greig looks a little happier this evening. 89 not out against his name, and certainly England must save the follow-on now, needing only 13 runs to make the 251 with 5 wickets still in hand. It was a fascinating day. The early wicket falling to complete the West Indies innings, then 32 for 3 England, and I thought a tremendous fight back then. A great effort from Peter Willey in his first test match, and also Chris Balderstone. They played in different styles, but I thought they played extremely well with good temperament and with a lot of courage. And then Tony Greig, well, what a very good time to make your batting comeback. He's been in the horrors all the summer. He came good at the right time. And Alan Knott, coming in there at the end, I thought he played a lot of typical Knott cheeky strokes, and they're still there for tomorrow, which I believe will be one of the best days of the series. England have got themselves into a reasonable position now, and it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that they can get within striking distance of that 450 West Indies first innings, and then they can make things a little bit tough for the West Indies later tomorrow afternoon. Well, the game was in a wonderful